before. ABC 10 News at 5 starts right now.
San Diego County is expanding vaccine eligibility, the critical group of people that will be able to get their COVID-19 shot in just a matter of days. Plus, the San Diego Unified School District is aiming to get kids back on campus by mid-April. The major changes being made to classrooms to ensure a safe return. And Tiger Woods' rollover crash led to serious leg injuries, while a local surgeon says we shouldn't count out the pro golfer just yet.
ABC 10 News at 5 starts now.
And good evening. I am Steve Atkinson. I am joined remotely by my co-anchor Lindsay Pena. We're going to be checking in with her shortly. But first, a big announcement in San Diego County's fight against the coronavirus and the effort to safely reopen our schools. Today, county leaders said that local teachers will be able to start getting vaccinated beginning Saturday. The next tier also includes other education workers, law enforcement, plus food and farm workers. That's another 500,000 San Diegans eligible to get the shot. County Supervisor Nathan Fletcher is asking people to be patient because there will be high demand.
As soon as we get vaccines, we make appointments available, and likely as soon as we make them available for the next week or 2 weeks, they will probably be immediately gone. And so we will fight to get as many as we can. When we get them, we'll make them available. But we just want to have a word of caution that not everyone in these three tiers is going to be able to get an appointment immediately. It is going to take a little bit.
Fletcher says he anticipates that the supply of vaccine doses will increase in March. That's good news. And more details are coming out about how the San Diego Unified School District will bring students back for its targeted reopening in mid-April. A district spokesperson told ABC 10 News reporter Jennifer Kastner about plans to retrofit classrooms to allow for the safe return of thousands of kids.
A little more than 6 weeks from now, some of the 100,000 San Diego Unified School District students may be able to return to their respective campuses.
Large numbers of students, absolutely, we can expect will be coming back onto our campuses when we open up that week of April 12th.
School Board President Richard Barrera said Wednesday that on the target date of April 12th, an in-person hybrid model will be implemented to limit large groups.
And so that means that, maybe half the class comes in the morning and half the class comes in the afternoon, or, half the class comes 2 days a week and the other half comes the other 2 days a week.
5,000 students have already been doing in-person learning with strict safety measures in place, but the district will build out those measures to accommodate the massive influx of new students whose parents decide to send them back to campuses. The district is currently measuring desk spaces to maintain social distancing, and staff members are working with UC San Diego health experts to be sure that classrooms are updated with proper filters for adequate ventilation. Barrera said that on top of the $50 million already spent, at least another $50 to $100 million will likely be needed, in part to expand the summer school model from teaching a few hundred high schoolers to teaching tens of thousands of students of all ages, with academic programs in the mornings and community-based social programs in the afternoons. The county still needs to drop out of the restrictive purple tier for the district to move forward. While vaccinations for educators are planning to open up this Saturday, they will not be required. Jennifer Kastner, ABC 10 News.
And there is new clarity, but also new questions today about whether youth sports can resume. A judge did confirm today his order that all indoor and outdoor sports can begin play. However, he said they must be able to meet the same standards as pro and college teams. We tracked down the Scripps Ranch coach whose family filed the lawsuit.
Most of the schools already have protocols in place as it relates to reporting COVID, contact tracing, and the normal protocols that surround COVID. So the only additional measure will be that they will need testing prior to competition.
Athletes in high contact sports will need to be tested 48 hours before each game. It's still not clear who will end up having to pay for all that testing. Practices at many schools are resuming this week, with competitions being scheduled for next month.
Earlier this afternoon, Supervisor Nathan Fletcher said 783,000 vaccines have been administered in San Diego County, and 1 in 5 San Diegans have gotten at least one shot. For many people, the time waiting to get their second COVID-19 vaccine dose has been quite stressful, especially with the recent delays causing cancellation concerns. But as ABC 10 News reporter Mimi Alcala shows us, many are finally breathing a sigh of relief and celebrating that second dose.
Life is short at this point, so we'd like to get out. A different kind of San Diego Beach Day, worthy of a celebration.
Everybody talks about the fun we had rather than the vaccine.
Residents at Merrill Gardens Senior Living in Bankers Hill officially received a second dose of the COVID-19 vaccine Wednesday, a long-awaited step back to normalcy.
Always look at the bright side.
For Virginia Tamburo, who's in her 90s, this means possibly seeing her family soon.
Get together with my children and have a nice dinner.
Barbara Workman is ready to get out a little more.
We've been surviving, but it's been almost a year, so we're ready to get a little bit of freedom.
ABC 10 News has heard from viewers across the county who were concerned they wouldn't get their second dose in time, spending hours in front of their computers trying to figure it all out. Bruce Walski was one of them.
Go to the vaccine superstation SD.com. You go there and it start over. It's the same form as before.
But Wednesday, he's breathing a sigh of relief.
That just puts my mind at ease.
He got his second dose on time Tuesday at Sharp South Bay Vaccination Superstation in Chula Vista.
Every person in there, I just can't say it again how nice they were.
After getting fully vaccinated, the CDC still recommends for people to continue wearing masks, avoiding crowds and poorly ventilated spaces. For Bruce, that's fine. He doesn't plan on changing things up much, just grateful to be protected.
I'm super happy to have it out of the way. Glad I don't have to worry about this anymore.
Mimi Alcala, ABC 10 News.
There are growing concerns over a new coronavirus variant identified in California and San Diego County. A new study suggests the variant might not only be more contagious, but may also cause more severe disease. This afternoon, Dr. Eric McDonald said about 30 to 40% of the cases being detected locally likely have this variant. The study suggests the variant has a different pattern of mutations than the ones first seen in the United Kingdom and South Africa. And here are the latest numbers on the coronavirus in San Diego County. 658 new cases were reported today, bringing our total to more than 258,000. And there were 12 new deaths. 3,230 people have now died from COVID-19 since the start of the pandemic. Workers' rights advocates are calling for the state to give more emergency sick days and more paid family leave. They say many workers have already had to use up their limited sick days. They're worried that if they get COVID, they'll be forced to work and put others at risk or risk losing their jobs. San Diego lawmaker Lorena Gonzalez is one of those pushing for the legislature to act. Opponents say expanding sick days and paid leave put costs on small businesses that they just can't afford. And you can keep up with any developments surrounding the pandemic by downloading our free mobile app. Just go to the App Store and search 10 News.
Lawmakers grappled with tough questions today at a hearing on the Capitol Hill riot. As ABC's Mary Ellis Parks reports, they're trying to figure out how to keep themselves safe and if Americans will ever be allowed to roam the halls of Congress again.
This was Capitol Hill before, and this is the area now. Still a fortress of razor wire and armed troops, an expanded perimeter put in place the day after the violent insurrection. The question now, how long will that last? And what will the future Capitol complex grounds look like?
But we cannot militarize the Capitol in response to an attempted ransacking of representative democracy.
Public access had been restricted on Capitol Hill for most of the last year because of the pandemic. But the tighter lockdown since the insurrection is completely different. The last several weeks have required significant cleaning and repairs. During a hearing on Capitol Hill Wednesday, the architect of the Capitol, J. Brett Blanton, explaining there is still work to do for the building and the staff.
I know that in the next several weeks and months, my team will continue to need counseling and support to process this event.
Blanton describing to lawmakers how his team was right there outside facing the National Mall when the sea of rioters approached and the extraordinary steps they took to keep people safe once the violence began.
Employees identified and sheltered congressional staff in their shops to protect them from the roving mob. Other members of the team raced to the roof to reverse the airflow within the building to help clear the air of chemical irritants such as bear spray.
Representative Jamie Herrera Butler arguing some scars on the building should perhaps remain to tell the story of that day.
It's going to be important to balance the need of both repairing the damages made from the riot with preserving some marks from that day.
The chief administrative officer explaining, too, how they rushed to keep sensitive electronic materials safe. They had to work fast to lock down machines and the networks when it was clear that lawmakers' own offices were being raided. Mary Alice Parks, ABC News, Washington.
No criminal charges are being considered against Tiger Woods after yesterday's car crash. The golf star suffered severe leg injuries after rolling an SUV in Rancho Palos Verdes. The LA County Sheriff says there is no indication Woods was impaired or anything to suggest a reckless driving charge. So far, investigators have not pulled the black box from the SUV, which would show whether Woods was speeding. Meanwhile, Tiger Woods is recovering from major injuries to his leg and ankle that could put his golfing career in jeopardy. But ABC 10 News reporter Steve Smith tells us a local orthopedic surgeon says don't count out Tiger just yet.
Following major surgery in which trauma specialists placed a rod into Tiger's right leg to stabilize the bones, the 15-time major champion took to Twitter, thanking everybody for their support and well wishes. Dr. David Chow, an orthopedic surgeon who spent 16 years with the Chargers, says that while he only viewed Tiger's surgical procedure from afar, it's what he'd expect for this type of injury.
Well, the rod is stabilizing the bones right now on the tibia, and I think it's a good thing because a worse sign might be an external fixator with, an erector set on the outside of his leg. So that gives hope that at least that area of the leg, maybe the wounds aren't that bad.
But as he says, with major surgery, there's always the risk of infection.
But that's why I talk about the soft tissue, the muscles and the skin around it are the bigger deal now than even the bone.
Dr. Chow says everybody heals differently and the rehab process will take some time. As to the severity of the injury, might it put an end to Tiger's professional career?
Is he going to be able to golf again? Yes, 100%. Will he be Tiger of old? I think that's a lot to ask.
Now, we all remember the 2008 U.S. Open at Torrey Pines when Tiger won while playing on a broken leg. Dr. Chow says this injury is totally different.
There's different, stress fractures, microscopic fractures. This basically was dangling. Completely different issues.
I'm Steve Smith, ABC 10 News.